Welcome back to Fox in the Morning. In 1975, the national speed limit of 55 miles an hour was signed into law during the Nixon administration, giving the federal government the sole right to determine the speed limit for all states. This came about as a result of the oil crisis at the time and was seen as an opportunity to curb oil usage and to supposedly lower accidents and fatalities on our roads.
Then in 1995, the national speed limit law was repealed during the Clinton administration, citing lack of effectiveness and implementation. At the time, some said good, some said not so good.
So that got us wondering, 20 years after the repeal of the national speed limit law, how have the modern speed limits affected drivers like you and me, and is there a need for speed? First, we spoke with MnDOT's Mike Doherty to understand how speed limits are set here in Minnesota.
So the Minnesota legislature has determined what areas are. So if you have an interstate highway, which, I-90 close to here or I-35 to the west of us, that can be 70 miles an hour. When you enter an urban area, it goes down to 65, or it can go lower depending on the density. Say if you're in the Twin Cities. Then you have Highway 52 right here, where when you come through the urban area, it's 60 miles an hour, but once you move out of that into the more rural areas, it can go up to 65.
One controversy that seems to have surrounded the repeal was that higher speeds would be more hazardous to drivers. So, is that true?
No, actually, our fatality rate has decreased from that period. Looking back, at that point, it was 1.35 deaths per million miles driven. Now we're at 0.63 deaths per million miles driven. At the same time, we're driving more miles now than we do. There are more vehicles on the road. They're at higher speeds, so I think things have become safer. Vehicles are safer. The design of highways is safer. We're more conscious of wearing our seatbelts. Things haven't stayed constant. Still, people are dying on the highways, and often a contributing factor is speed.
It's our #1 contributing factor in all fatal crashes in the state.
Sergeant Troy Christensen with the Minnesota State Patrol has been a member of the force for the last 15 years. Sergeant Christensen was at one time an accident reconstruction specialist and would often see the effects of speeding literally staring him in the face.
Well, you feel bad for the families because it's a life-changing event. So, and speed is a major factor in those, and you just feel bad for the families and friends and community that lost a loved one.
Doherty says that he's heard the arguments by many that certain places in Minnesota should see a speed limit increase, particularly wide-open roads, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. However, as advanced as technology has become, there is one piece that seems to suggest the lack of a need for a speed increase of any kind. Any guesses?
Don't text and drive.
Texting and driving is becoming a huge problem.
Nevertheless, there are ways, Doherty says, for you and me to make a suggested speed limit increase.
If it's in your town here, seek out your council member or your county board member, or even somebody at the state legislative level, your representative or your senator, and then it works from there. A request is made to MnDOT via that public entity, and we will do a study or make a determination looking at a variety of factors from geography, traffic counts, crash data, what the speed is now.
Which, in Sergeant Christensen's opinion, is just fine.
I don't think we should increase the speed limit. Just because of higher speed, you're going to have more impact and you're going to have more damage when you do crash.
As you can see, there's still quite a bit of talk about speed limits.
Right, and if you'd like to learn more about the speed limits, we'll put up links for the State Patrol and MnDOT on our website, myfox47.com/mornings.